Hi, I'm Jeanette Joy with Joy TV Network, and today I'm with Laurie Morse. Dr. Laurie Morse is a 30-year practitioner of Chinese medicine in San Diego and the director of Sacred Health Academy, an online journey in support of women healing to wholeness, however imperfect. As a wellness expert, she weaves various combinations of energy medicine, acupuncture, herbal, hormone, and nutritional therapy together with spiritual disciplines, my kind of woman, quantum breath work, and creative healing programs to awaken cellular intelligence and heal. She has a degree in art and the creative process from UCSD, is a certified international creativity teacher, and an artist herself. She has two best-selling books, Reverse Heart Disease Naturally and The Art of Returning to Love. Both teach how to weave creativity into the journey of wholeness. Her superpower is braiding creativity, soul, and healing as a bridge to the sacred self. She works with women all over the world. And Laurie, I'm just so happy to be here with you, spending time with such a creative genius. I think that you are just awesome. So can you explain to me and everyone, what is a creative process and why would one want to engage in it?
Yeah, good question. And thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here. So a creative process, it was I don't know, a handful, a dozen or 15 years ago where I had these two loves of healing and creativity. And I knew that they could weave together and make something even more potent and powerful for healing. And so I just started playing with it and what I learned, and then since discovered that there's mountains of research around this and it's growing every day. But it's a way of moving energy by connecting with our sacred self, our higher self, the source of life, which, by the way, is the creative life force, right? It's the energy that's beating our heart and pumping our blood right now. And it's pure creative energy. I mean, it's what creates worlds, right? And so, if we're clear when we go into a creative process about anything we want to change, whether it's something we want to heal, release an old pattern, maybe it's a physical or emotional pain, maybe it's to rewire a thought, thinking that we know is no longer serving around a certain topic, or maybe we're looking to upgrade a certain quality like confidence or connection or improve a relationship. We are wired for a much higher level of expression than we realize. So when we go to a creative process with an idea like this, it's like a creative process is it's a portal into transformation. And it's really not about the outcome. People get all kind of wigged out about, oh, I'm not creative and I tried to do that and I got shut down. I mean, once we get past all of that, we are not creating anything for a museum wall. We're creating for the engagement and the act of moving energy because of the creativity that actually makes that happen. And it's really fun. It's kind of like alchemy. So that's why we would want, that's what a creative process is.
So, what does intention have to do with creativity and transformation?
Yeah, it's actually key. It's in the creative process anyway, it's key because if we have old energy that's stuck, that could be mental, emotional, physical, or spiritual. And oftentimes it's in our subconscious, right? So we think that we're doing all this stuff and we're making all these attempts to change and heal, but that's all at the conscious level. But I think we know that we're operated 90% by our subconscious. Maybe we have old beliefs, we have cultural programming, maybe there's trauma, however modest or crazy the trauma was that we survived. We can do therapy for decades, and that's more like massaging the energy. But if we take an intention and we go into a creative process, the transformation is actually very different, and research bears this out every time. Intention seems to create pathways of exit of this old energy. It's like that old energy won't leave until it knows there's a safe route out or a safe way to untangle the energy, which is how I see it. I see all these old traumas and beliefs and problems and pain as tangles of energy. And it's just because they haven't been able to find a safe route out. So intention does that, and an intention A clear intention alerts our mind, body, and spirit and the field of intelligence, which is what we're swimming in all the time, breathing in and, and exhaling and all of that. We're calling in that intelligence and we're making it clear that we want to transform something.
Wow, it sounds like a shortcut in a way. So, how can creativity help heal suffering, pain, and disease?
Yeah, well, I've sort of alluded to it. I see like a piece of paper. A creative process can be done on a piece of paper. It could be done in a sketchbook or a journal. It could be done on a canvas or a wood panel. It can be done anywhere. We're talking about creativity in like an artistic way, but it could also be done by planting a garden or cooking a meal or setting a table or decorating a home or the way we dress. If we use intention, and the reason why a creativity is valuable is because there's images and there's color and there's symbols that actually are what activate our subconscious mind. So I'm going to use the example of using a piece of paper or a sketchbook. I see that as sacred altar, which is actually an inroad through our heart center. It's like a portal into our heart center. So I see this substrate or this page as a portal whereby we can alter, ALTER, the energy upon the altar, ALTAR, of this creative, piece, right? So we're not designed to carry this old energy. And I kind of said that already. But we do that. We have all this old energy accumulated inside of us because we haven't known how to transform or transmute it. And now we do. And a creative process. And, if people are interested on my website, which I'm sure you'll have available, there's just a snippet of creativity research. The NIH has studied it and, tons of people. And it's just, what is understood is it lowers anxiety, it lowers inflammation, it increases immune function, it heals mental emotional pain. I mean, the list is long, right? So what we know now is that anything can be transformed, and we just start where we are. Whatever is. I mean, we could do a creative process every day for the rest of our life, and it would be serving, right? So it's we just have to get below the we have to get past the gates of the mind that thinks it knows everything, that 10% that's kind of running the show, drop ourselves into that subconscious, which a creative process does, start playing with images and color, and that awakens our subconscious, and our subconscious can be reprogrammed and rewired for a higher level of being. And that's what I am devoted to.
Wow. So, what does it mean that creativity is another word for presence?
Well, yeah, that's such a good question because I see our higher self. There's many words that we can put to this higher energy, our higher self, our higher presence, source, spirit, soul, nature, life. Some people use the word God. That turns some people off. Honestly, it doesn't matter. It's chi. I mean, in Chinese medicine, it's called chi. It's atomic energy, molecular energy. It's life force, right? So all of those words mean the same thing. So because we have a higher presence, otherwise we wouldn't be here animated having this conversation. Being able to do a creative process or plant a garden or any of those things. It's that life force that gives us, activity and animation. So when we connect to that in a creative process, and we are present to our intention and what's happening in the creative process, we set aside our own judgment and criticisms of what we're doing. I mean, a creative process because we don't care about the outcome. It is a little bit of a practice to just sort of set that aside and play, right? Permission to play. That's where our presence, our higher presence, can drop things like insights and awareness and higher knowing and intelligence, and activate the cellular intelligence in our own body to heal and to start regenerating an organ, or anything that might we go in our intention with that might need the presence. our higher presence, I have to say this part too, is also a light force. So I said the word life force, but really life is light. And what I love about Chinese medicine and the idea, the philosophy of yin and yang, um, yin and yang is like light and love. It's the alpha and the omega. It's the masculine and the feminine. And we're in this constant dance. And perfect balance of those two is health, but hardly anybody has that, right? So we're constantly sort of dancing with the energy of life to find our center point, to find our still point, to find that place in us that is connected to the wisdom and intelligence of the universe, right? So and I already said it before, but that our higher presence will drop light or life force into us by our request. We're on a planet of free will, so we have to invite that in, right? And we invite that presence in when we do a creative process, and that's actually the ultimate healer, is our higher presence, which is the energy of love, which is connected to the fabric of the universe, which is love. Light carries love. Love nourishes light. This is a yin and yang idea. And so we've just never been trained to do that. And so a creative process builds the muscle of teaching us how to be in like this co-creative relationship with the source of life. And I don't know any relationship more valuable than that. It actually makes all our other relationships work at a in a better way. I'll just say it that way.
You just mentioned briefly the build the muscle of creativity. How and why would you want to do that?
Yeah, well, for all the reasons I just said. So, sorry, I just jiggled our
That's
screen.
okay.
I love this acronym of HEAL, and that is an acronym for health and vitality. The E is expression, so this creative expression idea. It's also ease. We're so tense of late, and the opposite of tension is ease. I am very convinced that we cannot access a sense of ease in our body without this connection. So I'll come back to that. And then the A in heal is for abundance. So everything that a human being would require and desire to thrive. And then the L in the acronym is love, right? Because that's the true healer of everything. That we're returning to that vibrational energetic frequency, all of us in the collective consciousness of human beings. Some people don't even know that that's a thing. So, it is an education process, but that's why we would want to build we would want to build this relationship. And if we use a creative process to build that relationship, it's like going out on a date. It's like having date night or date afternoon or whatever with our co-creative self, right? And it teaches us that there is more available to us. There's more um, capacity for healing and wholeness than the bill of goods that we've been sold. Even as much as the cultural current of disease rages outside of us, when we go inside, we feel and know, and depending on a person's way of connecting to this life force, there's just something that tells a different story. And we have to start telling these stories. We have to start speaking them into the collective consciousness of humanity and to Earth. And this is what will change our world, right? So building this muscle of co-creation with our higher self is not only for our own journey of wholeness to wholeness, but it contributes new solutions and new systems and new ways of doing things for our systems that are breaking down before our eyes and the ground shifting under our feet in order to elevate humanity and the world. And that means a lot. I think to most hearts and souls, we just don't know quite how to get there. It's okay to not know, but it's not okay to not do anything about it. And
Mhm.
so, from my perspective, a creative process is one of the most enjoyable ways of exploring all of this. It's fun, it's fast, you know, it doesn't require us to get all, wrapped up in our emotional intensity. We don't have to do it that way.
So how would you recommend that we do it?
Do a creative process and
Use,
let our presence teach us one step at a time what our piece of the puzzle is, because it's not going to be the same for each of us, right? We're all good. We all have our own, and people will say, oh, I want to know my purpose in life. And it's like our number one purpose, our number one prime directive after like propagating the species. And for some of us, those days are over. But our number one prime directive is to connect to our higher self, stay connected all day long, and then follow the guidance and the prompts and the wisdom that we get. That's our purpose. That will lead us all places good, right? If we try to figure out our purpose first and then go, yeah, yeah, well, just give me a minute. I'll do that whole connection and creative process thing after I figure out my purpose. That's putting the cart before the horse, and it won't work. It will fail every time. But if we do this connection thing, and if we align with our higher presence, and if we use something like a creative process to engage with our higher presence, to activate cellular intelligence, to receive insights and guidance, and then to integrate that energy into our mind, body, and life, it's a game changer.
I see creativity so differently just from spending this time with you than I did before this conversation started. I was
Oh,
always, I mean, I knew that creativity was really good for me because it helps to heal me. And so I was writing a book, Depression to Joy, through creativity. But you have just brought it to a whole new level. And it's interesting because I don't hear many people speak about the word ease. But I've always been praying for myself to have a life of grace and ease. Not because I want it easy, but I wanted things to be flowing.
exactly, exactly. That's the other thing a creative process teaches us is the feeling of flow, right? Like we all want that. We all say we want to be in flow and having grace and ease, but we don't know how to get that. We don't know the feeling of it. But when we practice something that teaches us flow, then we can, like, how they say in yoga, take it off the mat, right? Like you get into that zen place in a yoga
Right.
class or a yoga thing, and then the whole thing is take it off the mat. Take that energy into your life. Take it into the conversations with your grandchildren or your teenagers or your coworkers or your business partners or your spouse. I mean, take it to the grocery store. Take it everywhere you go, and it will be a contribution to elevating humanity that is way beyond one's capacity to really actually get just in our small mind alone. Our heart knows, but our small mind is a little more narrow.
Well, you have so many links for me to send to people. I'm going to put them in the information with um, you, but do you have one particular link that you want people to go to see you from this?
Yeah, I think probably the easiest one is the www.createtohealstudio.com, because on there you can kind of access everything. You can access the Sacred Health Academy. I have a new community forming called Sketchbook Studio, where we're just going to play in a sketchbook, and there's going to be 12 areas of every human life that we're going to focus on each month. And this is the best muscle building activity, I think, is this idea of a sketchbook studio, because it's private, it's consistent. So that, you don't build your bicep by going to the gym once or going once a month, or you have to, there's consistency in anything, like any musician, any athlete, anybody who's done something that matters to them. We have to practice, and consistency is part of it. So anyway, that will be available on the Create to Heal Studio, and it's simple, doable. I have this creativity kit in a box that people will just be able to tuck under their bed or on a shelf and pull it out just for short periods of time. It's not demanding time wise, and that will be a great way to build this muscle.
Awesome. Well,
Yeah,
thank you so much. I really appreciate your time and your wisdom. Wow, you made
it's
me
my
feel really
pleasure.
wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I want people to get sparked in whatever way they can to access this creative life force that is literally coursing through our veins right now. And however one gets there doesn't matter as much. But the I've just, I've been in the healing world for decades, and there's a lot on that buffet. Those there's a lot of options, and I honestly haven't found anything more potent and powerful as these creative processes. So I hope people are willing to play.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
All right. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you so much. Thank you for this lovely exchange. I really appreciate it.